Good evening, everyone. May I ask you to take our seats? And we'll begin. And we will have lots of time for socializing afterwards with wonderful food. So by all means, I'm not going to cut short the chance for us all to spend time together. Well, welcome to the 2024 annual meeting. What a year it's been at Shalom. We successfully navigated a significant amount of change with the retirement of our long-serving executive director and the need to undertake searches for both this position and that of a new rabbi to assist Rabbi Noah. The capacity of any person or institution to adapt to change is the fundamental leading indicator of longevity. Charles Darwin knew a thing or two about adaptation when, in so many words, he warned us all, people and institutions alike, to adapt or die. Adapt or die. This might sound overly dramatic, but nature in the world is unforgiving in this respect. And the Jewish people, who've won 214 Nobel Prizes, who've spent most of their history in exile, certainly know a thing or two about adaptation and survival. But moreover, we know how to thrive, how to excel, and how to contribute to our fellow Jews, to our local communities, and to the world. The theme of tonight's meeting is looking to the future, but before we look ahead, we note with deep affection the retirements this year of Linda Hollifield and Mandy Winke, and we say lehitraot to Rabbi Pozlowski. I'd like to recognize all those who serve on our Board of Trustees, who've served on our committees, who tutor at ONG, participate in any of our classes, take Hebrew, come to services both on Friday and on Saturday morning, those who attend Torah study, and I want to thank our remarkable, wonderful staff. Thank you all. Your energy drives Shalom forward. And this year in particular, I'm indebted to the members of our Rabbi Search Committee, co-chairs Laura Witkov-Felix and Jenny Movrich, and members Angie Domnitz, Amy Lester, Samantha Gorelick, Paul Joseph, Matt Honigman, Charlie Goodman, and Adam Bazelon. And I'm indebted to the members of our Executive Director Search Committee, co-chairs Jen Gilbert and Matt Siegel, and members Mike Gosman, Samantha Abramson, Life Trustee Jim Ross, Elliot Berman, Larry Gollopole, and Life Trustee Nancy Barnett. I'm indebted to our singularly talented Board of Trustees and the Executive Committee members Scott Franklin, David Arnstein, Susie Rosengarten, Carrie Altman, Matt Honigman, Larry Gollopole, and past President Brent Arnold. And a special thank you to Scott Franklin, who has served as Shalom's treasurer, for so many years that we've had to suspend our bylaws in order to access his wisdom and continue to benefit from his wise counsel. So I encourage those of you with skills in accounting and finance and are interested in ascending to the position of treasurer and joining us in senior temple leadership to give Scott or me a call. Rabbi Noah, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Thank you, Steve, and please rise. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, God of our mothers and our fathers, eternal one, source of all life and light. As we gather this evening, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude and reverence. We're thankful for the sacred community of Congregation Shalom, where we find fellowship, spiritual growth, and a shared commitment to our Jewish values. In this moment, we seek your blessing upon our congregation. Guide us with wisdom as we reflect on the year that has passed, celebrate our achievements, and look forward to the future with hope and determination. Bless our leaders, both past and present, who have dedicated themselves to nurturing and guiding our community. Grant them strength, compassion, and vision as they continue to serve and lead us. Bless our clergy, staff, and volunteers whose tireless efforts and unwavering dedication sustain the vibrant life of our synagogue. May their work be a source of inspiration and blessing to all who encounter it. Bless our congregants, each one a vital part of this sacred community. May they find joy, peace, and a sense of belonging within these walls. Help us to support one another with love and understanding, recognizing that each person's contribution enriches us all. As we move through this evening, may our discussions be filled with insight, our decisions be guided by wisdom, and our hearts be united in purpose. Help us to honor the legacy of those who came before us and empower us to build a future that is filled with promise and possibility. We ask for your presence among us, Eternal One, as we embark on this journey together. May your light shine upon us, illuminating our path and strengthening our resolve to create a community that reflects your love, justice, and peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you, Rabbi. The first order of business is the approval of the June 2023 annual meeting minutes. I'd like to recognize our past president, Linda Berlin. Linda? Any objections? Second, thank you, Life Trustee Jim. Ross, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. So moved, accepted, and approved. With that, I'd like to introduce our treasurer, Scott Franklin, for his report. Thank you, Scott.
Good evening. I'm Scott Franklin, a lifelong member of Shalom, a CPA, and for the last 11 years, our treasurer. While our rabbis and the cantor lead us in studying the fourth book of the Torah, Numbers, I lead our lay leadership and senior staff in studying our synagogue's financial numbers. Tonight, I'd like to briefly share some of those numbers with you for the upcoming fiscal year, which runs from July 1, 2024 through June 30th of 25, and update you on some other pertinent information. Congregation Shalom has returned to somewhat normal operating results after a few years of pandemic-induced wrinkles. This year, however, we worked through the unbudgeted wrinkle of the financial implications of the post-October 7th security concerns. We also experienced the leadership transition resulting from Linda Hollifield's retirement as our executive director. Our current executive director, Ryan Poole, has given the budget process a fresh set of eyes and new ideas as to how we can improve the process. He has spent the last 7 months or so learning about how Shalom operates and has found ways to make positive changes to our operations without making changes just for the sake of change. Ryan, along with insight from myself, Steve Wallace, and Vice President of Finance David Arnstein, have critically reviewed all areas of income and expense in order to come up with a revenue and spending plan that meets our needs. For the current fiscal year through May, our various sources of revenue have been somewhat lower than budgeted. Although annual commitment dollars and other fees are down for the year, the primary concern is lower than expected philanthropic contributions to our operating account. In fact, our current revenue shortfall versus last year's budget is almost exactly due to lower planned giving. However, in real dollars, donations are slightly ahead of last year's collections. Now that the administrative transition is complete, we expect to be able to refocus our efforts on donor engagement for the new fiscal year. We would love to reduce our reliance on the annual commitment dollars by cultivating and identifying additional sources of unrestricted donations. For this current 2023-24 budget year, the board approved an increase last year in all levels of our annual commitment. However, this budgeted increase did not materially increase our revenue. For the upcoming 24-25 budget cycle, we have held the annual commitment obligation the same but have implemented a $180 per family unit security fee. In the current post-October reality, we can no longer afford to keep our synagogues safe without additional funds. We have joined the ranks of synagogues across the country with assessing a specific security fee, and we pray that someday we can reduce or eliminate it if our related security costs go down. In addition, a state of Wisconsin security grant applied for by Linda and finalized by Ryan will help pay for various physical security improvements to our building. We have done the best to control expenses in the current high inflation environment. I am happy to report that we've been able to maintain our core congregational staffing with caring individuals. In reviewing temple operations, Ryan has improved the congregant experience without replacing 2 full-time staff members who left last summer. After 11 months in this current year, our payroll expense is down from the previous year's total and is well below the authorized budget amount. The one expense that unfortunately continues to trend higher is security. Our budget for this year was for about $87,000 of costs, but we are on track to spend well over $140,000, maybe closer to $150,000 of security expenses to maintain the peace and safety of our sanctuary school and the building. For comparison, last fiscal year we spent less than $69,000. While controlling expenses is certainly part of the process, the most important element of our congregation is maintaining and serving our membership. We remain the largest and strongest Reformed synagogue in the state. While the numbers do fluctuate monthly as members join or leave for various reasons, as of this morning's tally, we have 827 members in our congregational family units in our family. Attracting new members and retaining current members is an important part of the work that goes on here at Congregation Shalom, and the staff, clergy, board, and lay members are all involved in various ways to accomplish this task. Part of our core mission is providing a sound religious and Hebrew school. Our Director of Congregational Learning, Brian Abner, has overseen the post-COVID restoration of both programs. And by far, we have the largest non-day school Jewish education program in the city. The rebounding student population has also resulted in additional school fees to help offset the costs of this first-class schooling. Now, looking ahead at our next budget cycle, last month, the Executive Committee endorsed the proposed operating budget to the full Temple Board for ratification. At our May board meeting, after a meaningful and lengthy discussion, the Board of Trustees did approve the budget as presented. We are projecting to bring in approximately $2,326,000 of new revenue from all sources, which will offset an expected $2,518,000 of planned spending. While this sounds like a deficit budget, we are projecting to use about $125,000 of miscellaneous funds already on hand from previous years, as well as our annual $75,000 transfer from the endowment fund, which will cover the spending gap. So if all goes as well as planned, we should have a slight surplus of about $8,500. Now, as you can see from the pie chart on page 9 in the booklet, annual commitment revenues continue to be about 2/3 of our expected inflow. And as I mentioned before, we do expect additional development efforts to bring in considerable funding. Also on page 9 is a pie chart showing our major expense categories. As always, the bulk of our spending is spent on salaries, administration, and physical plant expenses. For those of you wondering, The expense item for the URJ RMAC dues is what Congregation Shalom pays to the Union for Reform Judaism to further that organization's leadership of the Reform movement. When I began as treasurer, that expense was well over $100,000 a year. Despite not increasing the baseline annual commitment schedule, as I mentioned a few moments ago, we understand that the economy is not faring as best it could at the moment. If any congregant has financial concerns of their own, please feel free to discuss the situation confidentially with Ryan Pooley. However, our operating costs do continue to rise, and our overall spending plan is approximately $3,050 per family. So for those congregants who are able to help out more, please consider making an additional contribution to our operating fund or increase your annual commitment level. And don't forget, if you send or bring in a check as payment in full by July 15th, you may take a 2% discount on your amount due. Annual commitment information was or will be electronically and snail mailed out to you hopefully this week, so if you haven't already received it, it's in the mail. The Temple Board and Executive Committee realize that development must continue to be a priority in order to reduce our reliance on annual commitment dollars. If you would like more information on how to be part of our larger development efforts, please reach out to Ryan, Steve, or me. We will continue to critically review our programming and events offerings to ensure that we are meeting the mission of the congregation as well as being fiscally responsible. Additionally, we want all members to realize that we have many costs that are not very glamorous. Security and an aging physical plant are at the top of this list. We have a long list of recommended capital repair work, and it is imperative that we replenish our various funds so that we can address the next round of expensive long-term needs. Our beautiful Samson Sanctuary is in need of fresh carpeting and seating repairs. Some of our air conditioning units are well past their useful lives. We have roofing issues, and the list goes on. Any and all contributions will be greatly appreciated. And remember, we do have a specific building maintenance fund for directed donations. Again, please contact Ryan, Steve, or myself for more information about various general purpose funds that you may make a contribution to. I would like to personally thank all members of our clergy, professional staff, executive committee, and the board for all of their efforts over the past year. And to you, our fellow congregants, all of us on the Board of Trustees and Executive Committee greatly appreciate your past commitments to and involvement with Congregation Shalom, and we hope that each of you is able to continue your support of our congregation for the next generation. Thank you.
We're moving a little bit out of order from the agenda you have, but we're all flexible. So thank you very much, Scott. When I accepted the presidency a year ago, I had one overarching goal, and that was to set an example for temple service such that lay leadership is regarded by our congregants as both deeply satisfying and supremely enjoyable. The proof of that success would be to identify a cadre of future leaders who happily sought to serve as congregational president after my term of service. And Shalom has adapted brilliantly. For the first time in several years, we have a president-elect identified well in advance of their term of office. So it's now a pleasure to introduce Matt Honigman, who's the chair of our nominating committee, who's done a masterful job, an outstanding job in identifying the future leaders of Shalom. The floor is yours, Matt.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be up here introducing some of our nominees tonight. Before I do that, I'd like to thank the nominating committee. This is a dynamic group We did everything electronically, but it was a meeting of the minds, and it represented a great cross-section of our congregation, and we found some amazing nominees. So thank you to Minnie Lubar-Price, Roger Karp, Barb Halpin, Matt Siegel, Jen Gilbert, Andrea Bernstein, Carrie Bilski, Amy Bazelon, Missy Barnett, and Lauren Berger. And without further ado, I will introduce our trustees, and then after that, we will vote on them. Our nominees, the slate of officers for the 2024-2025 year for a 2-year term are Andrea Liber-Cox, Jenny Movrich, Ari Domnitz, Margot Berger, and Jay Blankenship. Each of these individuals are outstanding in their own right, and I would like to say a word about each one if possible. Andrea brings over a decade of leadership in the child family advocacy world. Jenny Movrich is a strategic thought leader in the nonprofit world. She's been extremely active with Shalom and most recently co-chaired our Assistant Rabbi Search Committee. Ari Domnitz is a leader in the restaurant operations business, and he's well known for the strong relationships that he builds with his staff and with his customers. Margot Berger is everywhere at Shalom. She's the co-chair of our membership committee. She's been at the heart of a lot of family programming in the last year and engagement at Shalom. And Jay Blankenship, it's our pleasure to bring him on. He has extremely deep fundraising roots and executive leadership experience in a variety of different organizational settings. These 5 individuals are fantastic, and they will add so much to our Board of Trustees, who are already fantastic. So it's a pleasure again to share these names. Along with them, I'd also like to share that Monica Arnstein and Rachel Weinberg will be our new Women of Shalom reps. One of them will get a vote at every board meeting, and we're excited to work with them as well. And finally, as Steve said, Larry Gollopol is accepting the nomination for president-elect. If you didn't know already, he's been co-chairing our Voices for Justice Committee. He's been involved with our leadership and clergy at the highest level. He was recently involved on numerous search committees and played a major role in our newly instituted 360 performance review. So, Larry, welcome aboard. We're going to formally, since we didn't give, according to our bylaws, there's a certain amount of days notice, written notice that we need to give our members at large. We will be doing his election at a future ONEG or type event where we can give our membership time and the ability to attend and formally vote on Larry. Because Larry will be taking on this new role, that will leave a vacancy at the vice president spot. And we are so fortunate that Carrie Bilski has accepted our nomination to take over that role. Carrie brings extensive experience in the early childhood school leadership sector, and she has decades of experience on various committees and boards. And finally, we welcome back Darren Goldstein. We had an upcoming vacancy with the Endowment Committee, and luckily Darren has agreed to come back onto the Endowment Committee. He is a partner and audit practice leader at KPMG's Milwaukee office, and he brings over 25 years of experience serving clients in the consumer and retail lines of business. I believe that covers all of our nominees. The current board members and continuing board members are part of the consent agenda. I can share their names if you'd like, or...
Yeah, we can have a motion and a vote to accept those that are open. So can I have a motion to accept the nominees that Matt shared with us? Brent, a second? Second, Felice? Thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor? Whoops, hit the microphone. Opposed? They all passed. Welcome aboard. Congratulations all. Thank you for joining Temple Leadership. Matt, outstanding job. Thank you. The future's in very good hands. Rabbi, we want to bring everyone up for a formal installation?
Yes, but could we have another round of applause for Matt Honigman? He's done such an amazing job. Thank you, Matt. I'd like to invite all of our board members to come and step forward onto the bema as we're going to open up the ark, and I'm going to invite everyone here to rise as well. And we're going to take a moment with the Torah.
Believes in the tenets of our faith, and that looks to each other with affection and with strength, then we can hold that Torah high as we enter the next generation with all of its challenges and with all of its opportunities. So let's pass this Torah down, one to the other, as we have the opportunity to install you as members of Congregation's leadership. Now we invoke upon you the ancient blessing of our tradition, which is found in this week's Torah. Cantor, if you would join me.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
God's countenance shine upon you and through you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
May God always smile upon you and bless you with God's choicest of blessings. The blessing of wholeness, the blessing of peace, the blessing of shalom. Let us say, Amen. Simen Tov and
Mazel tov and mazel tov and semen tov and mazel tov and mazel tov and semen tov and mazel tov and semen tov. Yeilanu, 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 ol lechol Yisrael. Yeilanu, yeilanu, ol lechol Yisrael. Semen tov and mazel tov. Semen tov and mazel tov. Semen tov and mazel tov and semen tov. Yeilanu. Mazel tov. Thank you. Mazel tov.
Who turns the light on?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm actually going to conclude the report as we have this new infusion of light and energy and wisdom. We also have some departing folks to recognize, our Women of Shalom reps of many years, Sarah Wilkinson and Mandy Wienke. So we want to thank them for all their years of service, and we know that they're not leaving. And our Board of Trustees, Mike Dykman and Greg Parrish, they served well. They served during a time when COVID was upon us, and we were constantly having meetings about staying open, shutting down, and both of them, I believe, were on the reopening committee discussing things as important as our children coming to the religious school. So thank you to them as well, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. That brings us to our Executive Director's Report. Ryan Poulet.
Getting older now, I have to actually wear glasses to read. So thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. It's been a pleasure. I can say I've been here for 7 months. It's gone by really quick, and it's been amazing. It's been quite fantastic. Some people in the audience here that I've known for probably 6 or 7 years from working at the JCC. So coming here when I was announced to get the job, I got lots of calls or text messages from a couple of people I hadn't heard from in a long time. And it was super warm and welcome. Whether it was Kenny Stein sending me a text message being like, I'm coming over to see you right away, or Harriet Rothman being like, I'm so happy that you're going to be at my temple. So it's really fascinating to see, fast forward 7 months, when you read, a mission statement, it talks about like everything that we hear from is to be warm and welcoming, and to be an amazing place to come to. And everybody since I've been here has been nothing but warm and welcoming. Every congregant has been fantastic and told me all their stories of why they love the place or their family history and legacy, which kind of follows along. And it's incredible to see for 72 years, this has been this amazing legacy. Whether it's a garden outside in the front that your parents have named after, or stained glass, or any part of the building, somebody has a story to tell you, which is amazing to be part of. And it's my first year being at Leduc for 7 months. The warm and welcoming reception I've got from Rabbi Noah, it's because he's Canadian, like me, from Steve Wallace to Scott Franklin, everybody has been unbelievable. Whether it was even Brent and Rick Taylor taking me out on the golf course the first week I started and beating me up a little bit at it, but it was very warm and welcoming to actually have that as well. But the biggest thanks for me really comes to the staff. I know change is not easy for most people, and this year has been a ton of change for the staff. Like, it's been a crazy year for retirements, for people leaving, and then just getting, another person into the staff in a leadership position makes it quite difficult. And so the past 7 months has been a lot of adaptation for them to try to get used to my craziness a little bit and my OCD of cleanliness. So getting used to that kind of stuff. And I can't thank them enough for being so wonderful and adapting so quickly, but also keeping it warm and welcoming all along while we do things. And some of the congregants, I've had my first, philanthropic gifts given to me from them, and they've been wonderful as well, just telling me the truth as it is, why they love the place. I really can't thank you all enough for making me truly feel warm and welcome all the way through it. So I look forward to what's coming in the future here. I look forward to working with these two gentlemen behind me some more. And thank you all very much for coming tonight, and look forward to seeing you in the ONEC.
Once upon a time, there was a young rabbinical student who longed to serve a congregation. The student ventured across countries, crossing a border to come and study at one particular yeshiva. And after years of study, as the time for ordination grew near, one of the most learned of teachers turned to the young rabbinic student, and knowing the student's desire to serve a congregation, asked a question. "Describe for me," he said, "your ideal congregation. Tell me, would it be in a big city? Would it be large? Would there be lots of children? Would it enjoy the fruits of a sizable endowment and the largesse of generous members? Would it be full of pious individuals? Think for a minute and describe your idea of the perfect congregation." The young rabbi answered, "I want to go to a congregation that doesn't need me." A congregation that doesn't need me? The student continued, "My perfect congregation is one whose love of Torah is so great that the members form their own chavurot, so they might study on their own. A congregation that so cares for each other that they undertake pastoral care and acts of loving kindness all on their own. In short, I seek a congregation that wants a rabbi, desires a rabbi, embraces a rabbi, but one that doesn't need a rabbi." Well, this is a true story. And the rabbinic student is, in fact, our own Rabbi Noah. The relationship between a rabbi or cantor and their congregation is described as a sacred covenant. And a covenant is, at its very core, a contract. It's an understanding between two parties, each with responsibilities one to the other. Rabbi Noah asks a penetrating question. What would Shalom look like if we were to more fully embrace and have as our goal the fulfillment of Rabbi Noah's wish? Are we a congregation that doesn't need Rabbi Noah? Unthinkable. It's unthinkable. Our clergy is so good at what they do that I wonder if it doesn't make us a little bit complacent in our Judaism. I ask myself, what more can I do to be a better temple president, a more engaged congregant, a better person, a better Jew? So tonight we think about the future, and I simply wanted to share what I'm thinking about as I enter my last year as temple president. I get to see firsthand the magnificent manner in which our clergy leads us, exhorting us to become our best selves. And I stand in awe of you, of this congregation. I marvel at your tremendous talent and your locomotive energy. You've offered me help, and others. You've offered your wisdom and your counsel anytime myself or anyone else has asked for help, and I'm ever grateful. As it is impossible to imagine Shalom without the foundational leadership of Rabbi Pastor and the years of growth under Rabbi Ron and Cantor Karen, so it is impossible to comprehend Shalom today without you, Rabbi Noah, and without you, Cantor Perper. So while you might yearn for a congregation that doesn't need you, please know that this congregation certainly adores you for serving as our senior rabbi. And you as well, Cantor Perper, and Rabbi Pazlowski. And here at Shalom, because we have entered into a covenant with each other, we have congregants who happily share both the burdens and the joys of temple leadership. We do that with our clergy. It's a true partnership indeed. Looking ahead, I'd like to leave you with 3 examples of hope and light in a year that has proved profoundly challenging for the Jewish people. First, Rick Paler's adult Hebrew class, which typically has 5 or 6 students, now has 18 registered, a 300% increase. Mazel tov. 2 more. Are we at 20? 22. All right, that's a lot more math than I can do, but that's incredible. That's 400%. Mazel tov. Last year, we welcomed 1 person who underwent the conversion process. This year, this parlous year of all years when being Jewish is freighted with such weight, this year we welcomed 5 new Jews by choice, a 500% increase. Mazel tov. And finally, this week we celebrated the confirmation of Joey Arnstein, Libby Becker, Sasha Bernstein, Jacob Bilski, Jake Goldstein, Evan Henriksen, Oscar Ruiz, Eli Wenig, and Josh Willinson. The fact that these families entrust Jewish learning and our Jewish future to our synagogue is a vote of confidence in our shared efforts here at Shalom. Mazel tov to you all. So as we embark on my 2nd year as president, I look to you. And we look to the future. We look to the future and we smile. It's been an absolute joy to serve as your president. Thank you very much. Rabbi Noah?
Well, I shared that story with the right guy. Some other presidents might take that as a reason to cut the senior rabbi. Well, Erev Tov, and let's study a little bit of Torah together. You know, this week's Torah portion is Naso, and it is the perfect Torah portion for where we are as a congregation on our journey together. This is our 72nd year, and that is extraordinarily important. Now, the Torah portion begins with a census of sorts, a counting of those who would have responsibilities in the Mishkan, the wandering holy place that the Israelites carried with them on their journey. And it was the predecessor of the great temple in Jerusalem, and in many ways the original paradigm for congregations all around the world. Each group, Gershonites, Merarites, Kohathites, are presented with instructions outlining their responsibility to the movement, the upkeep, and the spiritual practices within the Mishkan. And it also records the responsibilities for what each group and perhaps even each individual is to bring to provide the physical upkeep of the sacred wandering space. Here we have a record of the physical needs of a sacred space, but the portion doesn't end there. The Torah portion ends when Moses consecrates the sanctuary and the tribal chieftains' offerings. Now, in much the same way, our synagogue thrives through the dedication and the contributions of all of us. Our sacred space isn't merely a building, but it's a living, breathing community that flourishes through the partnership between lay leadership, staff, and volunteers, and the congregants who actively participate in our community. Each of us plays a vital role in creating and maintaining this special place, whether through leading services or participating in educational programs, volunteering for events, or simply being present to support one another. Our lay leaders set the vision and direction, ensuring that we remain true to our values and responsive to the needs of our members. And our staff works tirelessly behind the scenes, coordinating programs, maintaining our facilities, and providing support for our many activities. Volunteers give of their time and talents, from organizing events to teaching classes and leading social action initiatives. And every congregant contributes by being part of this community, attending services, engaging in learning, and supporting each other through life's joys and challenges. It's these contributions that make Congregation Shalom such a thriving and dynamic place. Each of us in our own way brings offerings to our sanctuary, just as the chieftains did in our Torah portion. And our combined efforts create a community that is greater than the sum of its parts, a place where we can all find refuge inspiration, and a deep sense of belonging. But I keep thinking of the idea that the Mishkan needed to be consecrated at the end. And there's a verse that reads, Vayehi b'yom kalot Moshe, nechokim et hamishkan, vayishmach oto, v'yakadesh oto, ve'et kol kelav, ve'et hamizbeach, ve'et kol kelav, vayamshehem, v'yakadesh otam. On the day that Moses finished setting up the Mishkan, the tabernacle, he anointed and consecrated it and all its furnishings as well as the altar and its utensils. So after all the components were placed together, there was still one more aspect that needed to be added, and that was the intangible, the spiritual, what Rabbi Shapiro often referred to as the soulful, the soulful. Scholars have noted the similarity to this verse to Genesis and the original Shabbat, in which Torah teaches God ceased on the seventh day from all the work which God had done, and God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy. Just as God made holy the day when God finished the initial creation of the world, so also Moses sanctified the Mishkan upon its completion. Moses makes the Mishkan kosher by marking in time its transition from a work in progress to a completed masterpiece. And with it being completed, the Israelites could now worship and feel God's presence in a way that was meaningful to them. That was an important transition. And now, in our time, we have other ways to approach God. Often we feel God's presence strongest at a time of vulnerability, of transition. And so we bring God's presence into the world through review, through ritual and ceremony. This past year has been one of significant challenge, transitions, profound moments for our community. In response to the horrific events of October 7th, we came together to address the needs of our community, hosting and helping plan the communal gathering on October 10th. We engaged in thoughtful discussions about the events of the war. We also focused on mental health, organizing gatherings and discussions throughout the year. Moreover, we navigated significant transitions among our staff, each change marking a new chapter in our congregation's journey. If ever there has been a year in which we felt Bamidbar in the wilderness, I think it's this one. But it was through the cooperative endeavors of our community, counting each strength, each offering of service, each act of graciousness, that we've been able to transcend this delicate and challenging time. And in these liminal moments, we must be profoundly grateful for all the component parts that brought us here. And we must be profoundly aware of the sacred nature of life and the power of community. Moments that, upon reflection, can be filled with wonder and awe, much like what the Israelites must have felt. Installing this new board and thanking those who served and serve, marking this review of the year and looking to the future with blessings is a sacred moment. Even listening to information regarding the state of our congregational community through its finances is a sacred moment. As we move forward, it's essential to recognize and honor these transitions and the individuals who have guided us through them. So first, I want to begin by thanking Steve Wallace. Now, when I twisted Steve's arm to become the president of the congregation, I convinced him that this was going to be a period of time that would not be overly challenging. That was the plan. But we all know the old expression, man plans and God laughs. But let me tell you something. Despite the challenges of the year, and there have been plenty, Steve has navigated them with great skill, with great compassion, and contagious enthusiasm. His vision and his forward-looking attitude have helped present us with a path to transcend and navigate any wilderness, any Bamidbar, and I'm not surprised. This congregation has been a home and a source of pride to Steve and his dear parents and family, who knew how prophetic the words of Rabbi Pastor would be 50 years ago, that he would be a credit to his family, his congregation, his country, and his world. Steve, with your infectious enthusiasm and your ability to chart a path to the future, I can speak for the entire staff when I say that we are extraordinarily fortunate to be benefiting from your time, your enthusiasm, your leadership, in your thoughtful way. I hope that your arm has healed, but that you will find deep satisfaction in continuing to help hold up and guide Shalom in the next chapter of its history. I also want to thank these members of our leadership who have served our congregation and are now taking a well-earned break: Greg Parrish, Mike Dykman, Ronald Miller, Mandy Winkie, Sarah Wilkinson. Now let me take a moment to thank our staff. Now, I work alongside a wonderful clergy staff that deserves our thanks. First, Cantor Perper. This past year has been enriched by your remarkable talents and dedication. Your music has lifted our spirits and brought us closer to the divine. Your positive attitude has been a beacon of light, and your passionate prayers have touched the hearts of all who hear them. It is truly a joy and an inspiration to see both young and old alike respond so beautifully to you and your presence. Your ability to connect with every member of our congregation, regardless of age, is a testament to your extraordinary gifts and your deep commitment to our community. You should hear Sunday mornings as soon as Cantor Perper says, who's like you? Micha mocha. It is wonderful to hear the joy in the hearts of every young person. In addition to Cantor Perper, we're also profoundly grateful to Cantor Steinsnyder. Throughout the year, she's shared her beautiful musical talents with us, enriching our services and events with her beautiful voice. Now, we will miss Rabbi Pozlowski as she moves on to the next chapter of her rabbinate, and we're grateful for the many ways that she's enriched the lives of our congregational community. And whether through teaching or her pastoral presence and the warm way she embraced our community, I know that she has a bright and beautiful future where she will continue to make a lasting impact on the Jewish community and beyond. And we are excited to welcome Rabbi Abby Phelps, who will be joining our congregational team in July. I know that you will all warmly welcome her and will find her every bit as inspiring as our search committee has. Brian Avner has elevated our educational offerings to an extraordinary level. Brian is a magnificent leader who infuses our community with creativity, a deep Judaic knowledge, and a passion for learning. Under his guidance, our school continues to be a sacred space where young people can grow and be nourished by outstanding teachers, strong values, and a compelling vision for the future. Brian's leadership is a cornerstone of this success, fostering an environment where education isn't just about knowledge, but about building character and a profound connection to our heritage. His innovative approach and unwavering dedication have made our educational programs a beacon of excellence. And we want to thank Brian, where he is just at home right now, where he should be with his new baby, and for his extraordinary contributions and for guiding our young people with wisdom and care. And we also welcome Maddie Powell into her new position as Assistant Director of Congregational Learning. Maddie has already made such a wonderful mark on our congregation through her work with our young people. She's such a wonderful addition to our staff and our community. We're lucky that she is joining us. And of course, as I look out tonight, I saw Mandy. Mandy was here, who retired just a few weeks ago. And we miss you already here. But we know you're going to continue to be involved in our school and in our congregation. Also, we are deeply grateful to our Rabbi Emeriti, Cantor Berman and Rabbi Shapiro. Their constant wisdom, presence, and care for all of us in our community is truly a blessing. And we're all moved by their continuing sacred work and examples to everyone who have the joy of spending time with them. And I also want to take a moment to thank Ryan Poulet, who is in the midst of his first year as executive director. In the time that Ryan has served in this role, he has reinvigorated our staff with a tremendous positive energy. With his outgoing and wonderful personality, his ability to build and sustain teams, and his overall menschlich, which means you're extremely gracious and thoughtful in the way in which you navigate the world, Ryan. It set a brilliant pace and example for all of us. And under Ryan's leadership, I think Congregation Shalom's potential is unlimited. And we are grateful that you're here to help lead our community in this next chapter. Our administrative staff, Andrea Gotti, Amy Kahn, Heather Watson, Laurel Rose, Meredith Conner, Jacob McElroan, John Hagedorn, Kevin and Jackie O'Neill, and consultant Katie Sparks, and we welcome our new chef, Missy Meyer. All of them work so hard to keep Shalom a dynamic, holy, and warm place for all of us, and we owe them our thanks in this, our 72nd year. We are a future-oriented people. We look at the challenges of the world, but we still feel the hope of a better tomorrow. But that's not all that we are. We are a people that draws inspiration and strength from the past and the experiences, the successes and failures of the generations that walked before us. As we look to the future, inspired by the journey of our ancestors and the dedication of our community, let us remember that just as the Israelites found strength and purpose through their contributions to the Mishkan, we too find strength in our collective efforts. Each of us plays a vital role in building and sustaining our sacred space. On the wall to your right are written the words, Ve'asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham, and you shall build for me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell within them. The rabbis of old were scholars of many things, grammar included, and they noted, if sanctuary is singular, then what is them that God will dwell within? The answer was that God will dwell within the people that create something that is greater than themselves. In ancient days, that was the Mishkan. Today, I believe that's our Congregation Shalom community. How fortunate we are to be able to work together and feel the inspiration of the divine deep within. So may we continue to bring our offerings, both tangible and intangible. May we honor the past, embrace the present, and look forward to a future filled with hope, with unity, and spiritual growth. Together, we will navigate the challenges and celebrate the joys, creating a legacy of faith and community for generations to come. For together, we will build, and God will dwell within each and every one of us. May the light of Shalom shine ever brightly, lighting our path to the future today and every day to come. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. Cantor, may we call upon you for a benediction, a blessing, a song.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, I'm going to run over. He smiled. Welcome to this evening's Congregation Shalom Cantorial Department report. To begin, thank you to all the members of the Shalom Youth Choir, who I believe most of which are not here this evening, right? I can go get them. Also, my deep gratitude to our all-adult volunteer choir who gave us a wonderful year of worship and programming and beauty. Thank you to Wendy Traeger and Paul Caston for your talent, musicality, and sense of community and caring. Thank you to the board, our dedicated lay leadership, our incredible cooperative and creative professional staff, all the members of our wonderful maintenance team, and people like you, as they say on PBS. Our members, for your support and inspiration of what could and can be. Thank you, Rabbi Pozlowski. All good things for you. Rabbi Noah, thank you for being the best clergy partner I could have hoped for. And now, a true story about Rabbi Noah. I guess it's the second true. Look at that face. He has no idea what's coming. Yesterday, at our morning Shavuot service, we had taken the Torah out of the ark, Rabbi Noah carrying the scroll, leading the Hakafah around the sanctuary for all to be close to the scroll. As Rabbi Noah processes past that guy playing piano and singing, me, he leans the Torah over to me. It nudges my shoulder and gives me a moment with the Torah. I've been at the piano leading services for 16 years. That never, ever happened to me before. Thank you for being my rabbi. Friends, being your cantor is a great honor that I carry with great pride. I very much like saying, yes, I'm the cantor and music director at Congregation Shalom in Milwaukee, a wonderful, warm, and caring faith community. At this point in this evening's presentation, I'd like to share some significant moments from our past sacred calendar year. Last year's summer music series, we heard and learned from a brilliant harpist Then came our friends in the klezmer band, Abandon All Hope. And the summer series was topped off with a great vocal recital given by our High Holy Day professional quartet. They were a delight. This year's summer music series, beginning next month, yes, this is a plug, features our own Teresa Drews playing four-hand piano. Gotta see that. She'll be with her friend Stephanie, don't worry. Then later in the summer, we'll have a performance by a Latin-style percussionist, Mitch Shiner, a great local Milwaukee talent. Look for the flyer, RSVP, enjoy some great music, have some fun. See you there, wink, wink, nod, nod. Meanwhile, again, looking back, our High Holy Day season, words cannot suffice. Each year, a huge, huge task. So much planning, deeply meaningful in different ways, and rewarding deeply. Then our Klezmer Simchat Torah, that was great with energy and fun. Then the painful turn to October 7. Difficult, painful. The community gathered, hosting some 1,500 of our brothers and sisters of many faiths to support and remember our people and land of Israel. We did, and we will do. And that Friday night in January, when we were all inspired by Doug Kotler, his words, stories, and music, certainly a Shabbat Shirah to remember. Right, Amy, who I think is watching at home? And a Taylor Swift Purim spiel. Now that was crazy. Rabbi, shake it off. Then we got the green light. We dreamed, we planned, with help and guidance every step of the way, to reach our time of recognition, love and gratitude, fun and melody, as we celebrated Cantor Karen Berman. Many of those who witnessed the event shared that they simply don't know what we could have done to make it a more special and meaningful event for her, both in the planning and the doing. Not to mention the morale boost when a plan is so thoughtfully crafted and achieved. Thanks to one, and thanks to all. And then just last Friday evening, MCRC with Rabbi Rick Jacobs visiting local clergy. It was really something. Meaning through community. Thoughtful crafting of moments like this evening's meeting. And now to offer a blessing, I do it in the form of a song. Is that okay? Can I do that? It's called Bless This House. Music and lyrics by Cantor Bruce Benson. Bless this house and its new beginnings. Bless all the dreams that come through this door. Bless all the lives that living will bring here. Give blessings, God, for all this and more. Bless our joy and the answers that come from the quest for a life filled with beauty and light. Sunrise in the morning and the starlight at night. Show us the way to make this world right. It's walking down the road to see where it might lead without having fear. Walk
walk beside. It's touching others in a way that seems so clear. Don't lose sight, grow stronger every day. Amen. Amen. May God bless this house with love. Bless our lives, our children, and our families. Bless all of those who have lost their way. Bring peace to all who seek a world of beauty. Give blessings, God, to all these today. Let us change the world for good. It's easy if we try. Let's walk along side by side. This world can be better, so can you and I. We can save the world. Amen. Amen. May God bless this house with love. Amen. Amen. May God bless this house with love.
Cantor, thank you. What a beautiful blessing and benediction. I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight, for all your support. I'd like to give the immediate past president, Brent Arnold, the honor of moving for the adjournment of tonight's meeting. Brent, so moved? Thank you. A second? Thank you very much, Rick. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It carries unanimously. Thank you and have a very good evening.